you should be advising your kids this, and you should be practicing this yourself. If you're listening and you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and you're not doing this, it's never too late to get started. Hi, folks. This is Colin Richards, once again coming to you on the Lord and Richards Show. And today we're in the middle of a short series on Wealthy for Life. And that's part of a bigger series I'm in called Wealthy, Healthy, and Happy for Life. Those three things, I think, encompass most of the things that all of us want to enjoy in life, as well as the problems we want to avoid in life. And the reason I put wealth before health isn't because it's more important. It's simply that wealth tends to contribute to your ability to maintain health. This is seen in the developed versus the developing worlds, right? Life expectancies are longer when people have more resources at their disposal. And for us, that's obvious. We can get better health care, access to more cutting edge treatment, wellness, lifestyle changes that just aren't accessible when our wealth isn't in order. And so in our last segment, we started with the generation that today is in their 20s, whatever you call them, the generation in their 20s. And the principle there was how to obtain and maintain and grow wealth throughout this period of life starting in our 20s. And we talked about the theme of compounding for life, not making crazy decisions just because you're young and overspending or taking excess risk, but rather laying the foundation for future compounding. And the younger people who do this wisely are way ahead, and I have the privilege of serving many of them. And we talked about not overspending on your first home, not overspending on your rent, and the 5 key steps, the 5-step formula to success wealth-wise in your 20s. That is, number 1, giving. And last time we recommended, hey, put 10% as a minimum aside. It's a good biblical kind of base level standard. And then move into, as you get older, as you are blessed more greatly of God, move into giving a greater percentage. When I grew up, my pastor used to add 1% every single year, he and his wife, since they had been married. And you can imagine what he was giving late in life. The second step, before we're not even paying a bill yet here. We've just gotten our check. I'm excluding what you put into your 401k and what comes out for dental and other benefits and your taxes. This is the gross number on your check. Save 20% of that. So if you make $5,000 on your check, don't wait until it gets whittled down to half that from 401k contributions. Save 20% of that. Save $1,000 a month. If you're giving, give 10% of that. Give $1,000. You say, give 500. So you say, wow, Colin, I'm already down from 5,000 to 3,500. Yeah, we're going to talk about controlling the third step, which is your spending. Okay, so if you're giving 10%, if you're saving 20 for long-term needs, then that means I recommend reducing your spending to 1/2 of your gross check. So all your bills, your taxes, your not your contributions, but your other benefits that you contribute to, like your health and dental, all of that spending, everything, 50%. So giving, number 1, saving, 20%, number 2, spending, 50%. Now you're up to 80% of your paycheck. Say, wow, Colin, that disappeared pretty quickly, didn't it? Yeah, if you'll learn to live on half your check, including the taxes that you're going to pay. Now, by the way, you're going to pay less because you're giving, right? And you're going to pay less because you're setting aside money for the future, and some of that is going to be tax deferred in your 401k. Now, by the way, I recommend a Roth 401k, but you're still going to have some tax deferred saving. So what comes forth? Now that we've spent 80% of your check, well, offerings. 10%. That's where we get into this hilarious giving above and beyond that the Bible so joyously commends. Jesus himself said, give and it will be given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over. Okay, that's an amazing promise from God that by giving towards his work and his kingdom, and at Lord and Richards, we give more than 10% because God established Lord and Richards early on with the principle that we would develop simultaneously with this company a foundation that focuses on the great needs of the unreached people all across the world. So we're giving a substantial amount of our revenue to global Christian missions work, founding churches, schools, medical work. We're working in war-torn areas, places that are really difficult, but yet God has so richly blessed. And I think that's part of why God has so richly blessed Lord and Richards and my family, is because we've placed that emphasis on not just giving the base level standard, but going above and beyond in what we call offerings, that fourth finger. So number one, giving 10%. Number two, saving 20%. Number three, your spending, including your taxes, everything that you spend on, 50%. And number four, offerings, another 10%, as God leads, right? It's as God has prospered you. Now, if you can't pay your bills, you should back down and just get started with your giving, get started with your savings while working on paying down those debts and other problems that you may have amassed. And then finally, the fifth finger, and this is only if you're doing the other four, then we open the door to luxuries, that last little pinky finger here, luxuries, that extra stuff, right? The stuff that we've come to think of as just a guarantee to all Americans. You know, we are guaranteed certain rights, and that is to spend our money on luxuries, right? Eating out, fine clothes, nicer cars, vacations, and so forth. Well, if you will restrain yourself and learn that discipline in your 20s and hold it for life, you will enjoy fantastic luxuries later in life, because that foundation of giving, that foundation of saving is going to come back and pay you back later in life. It's called deferred gratification if you're in your 20s listening. But if you're a parent, you should be advising your kids this, and you should be practicing this yourself. If you're listening and you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and you're not doing this, it's never too late to get started. Now, once again, if you're in your 20s, on the investment side, I want you to invest more aggressively, but I want you to do it properly, right? With the help of a fiduciary, somebody who puts your best interest ahead of theirs. And of course, that's the standard of Lord and Richards. And we, of course, answer to a higher power even than the fiduciary standard. But I want you to invest aggressively, but with the help of an advisor, as well as I want you to still have up to 50% of your money in protected types investments, which we talk about all the time. And as you know, Lord and Richards will get behind you with that, and we will guarantee your safety percentage, that number that you tell us you're unwilling to breach on the downside of your portfolio. We'll put it in writing, and we will not charge you fees if we breach that percentage. Now, in addition to that kind of savings, there are some other things I want you to do. And so I'm going to talk a little, or that kind of investing, I'm going to talk a little bit in our next segment about how I want you to get this set up in your 20s. So we're really dialing in today on how to be wealthy for life, how to obtain, maintain, and grow wealth throughout your life, starting in your 20s. So jump into our next segment right away, and we're going to talk about how to invest in your 20s. We talked a lot about the 5-step formula of giving, saving, spending, offerings, and luxuries, but now we're going to get down to brass tacks on investing. And if you're listening today, I want you to give us a call. We love helping people just like you, helping thousands of people just like you every day to obtain, maintain, and grow their wealth and their financial independence. And we help you build a written financial plan so that you're covered in all the key areas of life, so that when you're ready to retire, you can do it without worry, and you can do amazing things for God with the resources He's entrusted to you. It simply starts with a conversation.